Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of ONIT College Basketball. We're here on a Friday taking a look at how the week played out and what's going on this weekend. As usual, if you like the content and you haven't subscribed already, please do, as it really helps us out here on the channel. It's free, no cost to you to subscribe, and it helps us create more of these videos. So if you like what you see, if you love college sports and college officially licensed collectibles, this is the place to be here at ONIT. So hit that subscribe button and do us a favor, and do yourself a favor, because you'll get more of our videos in your feed. And if you stick around to the end of the show and you're opening some ONIT packs, we'll tell you how you and your cards can get involved in one of our upcoming episodes. Let's begin, as usual, by taking a look at what's in our Friday college basketball box.
What's in the box?
Our Friday ONIT College Basketball Box features our locally sourced but nationally relevant headlines for all of our ONIT teams as we look at some killer matchups coming up this weekend. We also have our two best performers of the week in making the grade, one man and one woman. And lastly, we'll give you our 10 names to watch, as nearly all of our teams have less than 10 games remaining in the regular season. It's into crunch time, so who you should be watching this weekend is important. Let's begin and take a look at our two Gem Mint 10 performers in Making the Grade. This is Making the Grade, where we take a look at our two best performers of the week. We have two Gem Mint 10s, one on the men's side and one on the women's side. We'll begin by taking a look at our best men's performer, and this week he's coming to us courtesy of the UCLA Bruins and their 98-66 win over Rutgers. That would be Xavier Booker. He played pretty much a perfect game, or as close to as perfect as you can get out there on the basketball court. 10 for 11 on field goals, 4 for 4 from 3, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a block, and no turnovers in just 29 minutes on the court. He put up 24 points on 10 of 11 shooting. That's impressive stuff there from Xavier Booker. It was an easy win for UCLA. He played a big part in it as he was the leading scorer in the contest. The no turnovers, obviously huge as well. He protected the basketball, didn't get squirrely with it, and he was able to shoot the lights out in this game, just unconscious from three, and no matter where he spotted up at, he was knocking down his shots. Close to the basket, mid-range, from three, didn't matter. His heat chart was insane, and he did it all without even taking a free throw. So he didn't get fouled on the way to the basket one time. Did it all from the floor. 24 points in 29 minutes on 10 of 11 shooting earned Xavier Booker a Gem Mint 10 in my eyes. On the women's side, we're taking a look at Penn State, their first Big Ten win, coming courtesy of the overtime victory against Purdue, 85-82 over the Boilermakers. There were a couple of names to look at in this game, but I'm going with Kaiomi McMiller. 30 points off the bench on 10 of 19 shooting, and she did most of her damage from the free throw line as well. 9 of 12 from the free throw line to pair with 10 of 19 shooting. She only took one three-pointer, made it, so that means she went 9 of 18 from the floor outside that one three-point shot. Really impressive stuff from McMiller. She also had 5 rebounds and 9 assists in this game compared to just 2 turnovers along with a block. So she was filling up the stat sheet, nearly had a double-double, and her performance was a big reason why Penn State was able to pull out their first Big Ten win and snap that losing skid. And so, for that, Kaiomi McMiller earns herself a Gem Mint 10 here on the women's side. Do you agree with the grades? Let me know down below. But for now, we're going to move on and look at our men's games this weekend here in February. All right, we got a lot of good men's games this week, so let's talk about them. Starting off with our only ONIT versus ONIT matchup that features number 2 Michigan heading on the road to take on Ohio State. Another rivalry game between these two, this time in Columbus. Michigan won the first matchup between them just a couple weeks ago, and now they're going to try to win on the road as well, as they improved to 21-1 last night, absolutely trouncing Penn State 110-69. Michigan is firing on all cylinders at 21-1, with their only loss being to Wisconsin. going on the road into a hostile environment in this rivalry matchup. They came off the rivalry game at Michigan State without a scratch. Can they do that again against the Buckeyes, who are coming off their own win, 82-62 against Maryland, 15-7 on the year for Ohio State? They've been playing pretty well so far this season. They're not one of the teams that's in the upper echelon of the Big Ten right now. But if they could get this win over Michigan, people would definitely have to start taking them pretty seriously going into this final stretch in the tournament. So we'll see how this game plays out, but it's in Columbus. Ohio State, the home team, against their bitter rivals, number 2 Michigan. Should be a fun one between our two ONIT schools. Then in the top 10, we have 2 other teams with number 3 UConn. They have themselves a ranked matchup at number 22 St. John's, a team that has totally turned their season around in St. John's. Just had to figure some things out after some early season struggles. Well, St. John's is back, and the Red Storm are going to give UConn all that they can handle, I would imagine. UConn 22-1, a 92-60 win over Xavier last time out. Huskies have played really well. Super consistent basketball team. St. John's is surging, so is that going to be a problem for UConn? That will remain to be seen, but being on the road for UConn, difficult. This is one of the best matchups in the Big East this year. Unfortunately for the Big East, there haven't been a whole lot of premier matchups, but this is one of the marquee ones, so definitely will have my eyes on that game. Also will have my eyes on Gonzaga after that crazy loss. Upset on the road at Portland. They're back at it on the road at Oregon State. Number 6 Zags definitely did not expect to go in and lose to the University of Portland. So now they're 22-2 on the year. 87-80 was what the Pilots escaped with against the Zags. So trying to get back on schedule here against Oregon State. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for Gonzaga, but that's what you would have thought against Portland. So who knows how it will go, but one thing's for sure, Gonzaga will be dropping in the rankings when they come out on Monday. Next up, we got number 12, Purdue. They finally got back on track, 93-63 win over Maryland, snapped that 3-game losing skid that they were on that saw them plummet in the polls. They are now 18-4 on the year. They are at home against Oregon. So going back home after the road trip, trying to keep this winning streak going against a team that has really been struggling in Big Ten conference play. So should be a nice little bounce back there for number 12, Purdue. Then we have UCLA, 16-7 on the year, 98-63 win over Rutgers. They will be at home against Washington, a little battle between some of the West Coast Big Ten teams as UCLA continues to just try to put the pieces together and keep stacking wins. They win a couple games, they lose one, so they want to just finish out this season right. They would love to end the season on a winning streak because that's probably what it's going to take at this point for them to get into the tournament. Number 9, Nebraska, 20-2. Lost last time out against Illinois, 78-69. They had 6 full days off to rest and recover from that game after starting the season 20-0, losing to Michigan and Illinois back-to-back has derailed their undefeated season, but they'll go to Rutgers and try to put another win on the board, get to 21-2. They're a team that's also probably going to be falling in the polls. They fell last week with the loss to Illinois. They might drop again, but they can at least get a win under their belt at Rutgers, or at least should be able to get a win under their belt at Rutgers. And now we're going to talk some timeless only teams here, beginning with number 21, Arkansas. So these timeless only teams are only available through ONITathlete.com and purchasing a timeless subscription where you get a collection of packs with men's basketball, women's basketball, football, volleyball. You could get any of those packs on any given month through your timeless subscription. So check it out on the website, ONITathlete.com. But Arkansas is number 21 in the country, 16-6. Lost to Kentucky, 85-77. Another shock result. We had a lot of those on the men's side. They're going to try to bounce back at Mississippi State. Mississippi State has been in a world of hurt recently on the basketball court. So Arkansas, in a rebound spot, would like to just take it to them on the road in this SEC matchup. So that's a game to keep your eye on because if Arkansas loses again, they're definitely out of the top 25 for sure. Then we have Auburn. Again, all these schools that we're talking about now are timeless only schools. Auburn, 14-8, lost on the road at Tennessee, 77-69. They will play Alabama. Alabama is very hungry to get back into the polls. Auburn is trying to stay on the bubble, so win over Alabama would go a long way in cementing that, especially because Alabama has been ranked at multiple points during this season. Then we have Texas 14-9, coming off their win over South Carolina 84-75, as they stay at home and will take on Ole Miss. Texas keeps putting wins together. They're one of those teams, again, that's right on the verge of the bubble. Ole Miss is not really on the verge of the bubble, so just a game that Texas should win in the SEC conference. Again, improve your standing going into the tournament. Obviously, anything can happen once you hit your conference tournament, so for Texas, that's one of their keys to getting into the big dance. But if they can continue to just win some regular season SEC games, maybe make a little bit of a run in the tournament, but don't win the whole thing, there is an outside chance that they could find themselves an at-large selection. So something to keep your eye on there for the Longhorns. Then we have Texas A&M coming off a crusher at Alabama, 100-97. What a game this was, back and forth, trading buckets, scoring up and down the floor, but Alabama prevailed. So Texas A&M falls to 17-4. They lose a little bit of their grip at the top of the SEC, but they still are one of the leaders in the conference, and they'll get a chance to separate themselves playing number 17 Florida at home. This is a huge game for Texas A&M. If they want to be the regular season SEC champions, this is a game they have to win. So they'll have to take down Florida if they want to be regular season SEC champions. I just don't see a pathway for Texas A&M to win the SEC in the regular season if they don't win this game against Florida, because I think Florida will separate from A&M down the stretch if they get a game lead or a 2-game lead. So again, another great game to watch. We have a ton of them on the men's side. And our last men's team, our last timeless only squad, is West Virginia. They're another team you should keep your eyes on. 15-8, a win on the road at Cincinnati. They keep taking care of their business in the Big 12. 59-54 over Cincy. And now they get number 13 Texas Tech at home. So if the Mountaineers could pull the upset over Texas Tech, all of a sudden they would vault into bubble category. It would be a big upset, a huge quad one win for the Mountaineers if they could get that done on their home court. So as you can see, a lot of great men's games to watch this weekend. Looking forward to all of them, really. You can tell me your favorite down in the comments below, but we have an even better matchup on the women's side. Let's talk about it. I mentioned we have some great matchups on the women's side. Well, let's kick it off with a top 10 matchup between ONIT schools. Yes, number 2 UCLA and number 8 Michigan. 22-1 for UCLA, 20-3 for Michigan as they clash in Ann Arbor. This should be a great game. In the Big Ten, UCLA is putting their undefeated conference record on the line on the road in Ann Arbor. They're coming off an 86-46 win over Rutgers at home as they travel east and play a Michigan team that is coming off an 88-76 win over Nebraska. Michigan has been playing really well as of late. UCLA is the best team in the Big Ten in terms of conference record, in terms of national ranking, and they are going toe-to-toe this weekend on February 8th. I cannot wait for this game. It's some of the best play in the country. You've got players like Olivia Olson, Lauren Betts, Gabriela Jaquez. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Michigan, UCLA, top 10 matchup. Looking forward to that one. And then in the SEC, we have a matchup between number 3 South Carolina and number 19 Tennessee. So we get 2 top 25 matchups between ONIT schools this weekend. Sign me up for that. South Carolina's 23-2, just destroyed Mississippi State 88-45, while Tennessee had to go to overtime, but they got it done on the road at Georgia 82-77. Tennessee 14-5, still kind of recovering from the lingering effects of that snowstorm that hit Tennessee, forced them to take some time off. They haven't really gotten back to the form that they were at before they had to take a week off. So we'll see how that factors into this game against South Carolina. South Carolina, outside of the loss to Oklahoma, has really been firing on all cylinders. So will the rust be a problem for Tennessee, or have they recovered from that rust, and can they give South Carolina a game? They just got blown out by UConn. That will be leaving a bad taste in their mouth. They do not want to see that happen again against a team that's pretty much to the same caliber of UConn in this South Carolina squad. So great couple of games to be looking forward to there for sure. And speaking of UConn, number one team in the country, just won on the road at DePaul, 86-40. They're 24-0, completely untested in the Big East. They're at home against Butler. We'll see if they can roll that winning streak to 25 here in the 25-26 season. Number 9, Ohio State at 21-3. They're on the West Coast, just got a huge victory at Washington, 70-60. Washington was ranked towards the end of the polls, and so for Ohio State to go on the road and beat that Washington team, that was a great job by them. And now they'll have to keep it going because they go to Oregon on the 8th. They'll stay out west. They've already played that first game, though, so they've had some time out on the West Coast to get used to the time change and should be ready to go for that game against Oregon there for number 9, Ohio State. Then we have Nebraska, 16-7. They lost at Michigan, 88-76, as we mentioned when we talked about the Wolverines. They have another tough game coming up, number 22, Maryland. This was really a make-or-break stretch for Nebraska. They had just been knocked out of the polls. They had ranked games coming up all in a row. And so far, Nebraska has not been able to get a win in any of those, which makes me think that they are going to slide further back away from being ranked rather than back into the AP poll. But if they can get a win against number 22 Maryland at home, that would definitely help for the voters and also, of course, for their standing as we approach really the final 5 games on the women's side before these conference tournaments begin. So that's what Nebraska's up to. USC in the Big Ten as well, win over Northwestern, 83-65, 14-9 on the season. They're at Illinois. Very much a bubble team, USC here. Just need to string together wins in the Big Ten here. I think they probably have to go undefeated throughout the rest of the season and then win at least a game or two in the Big Ten Conference Tournament to make the big dance, I would think. But who knows? They do have that win over Iowa, might do some heavy lifting for them. So USC is a team that I think controls their own fate, but they just have to keep winning games. That's the most important part for the women of Troy right now. As we talk about some of our timeless only teams, beginning with number 4, Texas, 22-2. They got the win against number 5, LSU, 77-64. Big win for Texas. They avoid the season sweep against LSU. Now they get another huge SEC game. Number 16, Kentucky is coming to town. So Texas gets to stay home for these ranked matchups. That's really good for them. Ton of great games on this women's side. Like I said, I mean, we have top 25 matchups all over the place as Texas is going to welcome in Kentucky. We'll see how the voters look at it. Obviously, Texas lost to South Carolina this season, but they also beat South Carolina this year. And Texas beat Oklahoma, which was the most recent team to beat South Carolina. So could Texas leapfrog South Carolina in the polls? That's something I'll be keeping my eye on Monday. Then we have Arkansas, 11-13. 87-82 loss to Missouri, and they'll be on the road at Florida. Arkansas just keeps plugging along here. Trying to get back to 500 really is their main goal here, and hoping to win a game or two in the SEC tournament if they can squeak that out. Then we have Auburn at 13-9. They just lost at Florida, 61-53. Things get even tougher for them. Number 5, LSU is coming to Alabama, and so Auburn will host the Tigers there. Of course, LSU just lost, so they'll be mad. They'll be wanting to get some revenge, and Auburn, unfortunately, is the next team on their schedule. But maybe they catch them at a weak point, and Auburn makes it happen and gets an upset over LSU. So something to keep your eye on there as we move on and talk about Penn State, who got their first win this season at Purdue, 85-82. They're now 8-15 on the year. It was the first Big Ten Conference win for the Lady Lions, and it came in overtime fashion. It was a really thrilling game. Great play by Kaomi McMiller, which is why she earned our Gem Mint 10 earlier. Gracie Merkel, also huge contribution. And Penn State finally gets that Big Ten win under the belt that they have been looking for. They'll try to keep it rolling, but number 12 Michigan State is coming in, so another tough game for the Lady Lions. They're not going to be as easy as it was against Purdue, and it wasn't easy against Purdue. They had to go to overtime, so we'll see what happens there, but Penn State trying to get to 10 wins on the year, need to win 2 more games here down the final stretch of the regular season. And the last team that we are talking about, Texas A&M, our final timeless only team, is 8-10, just lost against South Carolina in an ONIT versus ONIT matchup, 71-56. They will be at home against number 21 Alabama. As you see in the SEC, you get a lot of ranked teams back to back to back. We see that for South Carolina, Texas A&M, and so it's a brutal stretch, and we'll see if Texas A&M can get back to 500. Win here, an upset over Alabama would get them to 9-10, and so if they could get to 500 and then potentially close out the season above 500, that would be pretty good for Texas A&M, who has not played nearly as many games as almost anybody else in that SEC conference. So those are all the women's games we have this weekend. Like I said, tons of great stuff coming up. We got a lot of players who are going to be very impactful in these games. So let's move on and look at our players to watch. We've got our 10 players to watch here, 5 men and 5 women, who I think are going to have an impact in some big games this weekend. Starting off at the top, Alex Caravan for UConn. He's just been the model of consistency all season long, as UConn goes into one of their biggest games in conference play against St. John's. I think they're going to need him and his calm and steady hand to just kind of lead the way for UConn and keep them under control on the road. So he's a guy who I have my eyes on. Gracie Merkel just had an amazing game, 19 points, 20 rebounds against Purdue. As things get tougher for Penn State, she's one to watch. That rebounding and scoring combination is really kind of unmatched by a lot of players in the country. So if Penn State is going to put together consecutive conference wins, she's going to be a player that I think carries them. Then we have Rylan Griffin for Texas A&M. Another big game for Texas A&M against number 17 Florida. Griffin is one of those players who can really make contributions in all parts of the game. Scores a little, rebounds a little, assists a little, plays some defense, hustles a lot. So I think it's going to be those glue guys, and he could be an X factor if he has a big game against Florida in determining whether Texas A&M can win that game or not. Then Lauren Betts for UCLA, as she goes up against Michigan, the premier player for the Bruins. Michigan is going to have a lot of work to do if they want to stop her. So I think that if they do stop her, that will be a big reason why one of these teams wins or loses. If Michigan stops her, I think Michigan can do it. So keep your eye on Lauren Betts as she's out there for UCLA, because if she has a big game, it's going to be hard for the Bruins to lose. Then Hunter Huff for West Virginia, going into that ranked matchup against Texas Tech. He's their leading scorer. All eyes will be on him to carry the scoring load for the Mountaineers if they want to pull an upset. Joyce Edwards for South Carolina just surpassed 1,000 points in the latest Gamecock win, and now she goes into a matchup against Tennessee. She's played amazing this season. She's up to nearly 21 points per game. So once again, a player that all eyes will be on to shoulder that scoring load, and she has done that in nearly every game this season for South Carolina. So hard to expect any different here. Then Sam Hoiberg for Nebraska, trying to get back in touch with what they are as a team after losing their last 2 games. So Nebraska, I think Hoiberg has been one of those guys, a leader out there on the court. It will be up to him to put a stop to this losing streak for Nebraska. So he's one that I'm keeping an eye on. Then Silas Swords for Michigan as she plays against UCLA. Big scoring performances over the last couple of weeks. She's going to have to keep those up if Michigan wants to pull this upset over UCLA. And I think she can do it. She certainly has the talent. The only question is, how will the Bruins game plan allow her to attack? And so that's why I want to see what adjustments she might have to make if UCLA focuses on taking her scoring ability away. Then John Mobley Jr. in their game against Michigan, Ohio State, the underdogs. Mobley Jr. is kind of the number 2 to Bruce Thornton. I think Bruce Thornton will be able to get his for Ohio State, but who steps up around him? I've pegged John Mobley Jr. as the guy who I think will step up if Ohio State wins the game. And then Z Spearman for Tennessee. She carried them to the win on the road against Georgia in overtime as they face South Carolina. I think she's going to have to do it again. It's going to have to be a multi-headed offensive attack from Tennessee if they want to keep up with the great scoring that South Carolina puts together. So I think Z Spearman, Talasia Cooper, everybody for Tennessee is going to have to play their best game. But I think Spearman specifically is the catalyst. So that is why I have picked her as one of my players to watch. But I just think that's a game between South Carolina and Tennessee that you want to be tuned into. And that is all the time we have for today. We've covered a lot today, tons of men's and women's action, a lot of great players out there. And if you have made it to this point in the video, you enjoy the content, love college basketball, and officially licensed college trading cards, do make sure you hit that subscribe button as we really appreciate it here at ONIT. And if you're pulling any ONIT packs, if you're getting them off the website at onitathlete.com, or you're getting them through breaks or our live rip and ship at TikTok and whatnot, you can go to the link down below, submit your hits, submit your polls. We want to start a polls of the week on the YouTube channel, so if you submit those to the link that was down below, or it'll be in the description for you, we'll get that started here on the channel and share off some of the best polls from the community. So make sure you do that if you have anything worth sharing. For now, though, we will see you later. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much for watching. We're back on Tuesday with more college basketball coverage. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.